Hey all, I'm currently sitting in charging jail at the back of a Myers parking lot in a 2025 Cadillac Optiq. And I figured this is a perfect opportunity for me to give you an update on technology. I've previously done a really deep dive on the new operating system in the General Motors electric vehicles, but that was after a first drive event. I mean, I literally spent 5 hours with the vehicle playing around with the screen, asking questions. I did like a 45-minute sit down with a technology specialist, and then I tried to work my way through the system on my own. Now, I've had this vehicle for an at-home test, and I've lived with it. I've driven it around Chicago. I'm currently in Indiana, and now I have to get back to Chicago, hence charging Dale. And I have some additional thoughts about this system. Now, I do want to preface this with the fact that some people have given me a really hard time for essentially bashing the fact that General Motors is getting rid of Apple CarPlay in their vehicles and in their electric vehicles. And by the way, it's probably coming to the gas vehicles soon. Spoiler alert. So people have told me that I'm silly, that this, is a great system and I need to get over my Apple bias, whatever. And I'm going to say, okay, you are welcome. You are welcome to your feelings. You are welcome to your opinions. But I'm going to start by saying, even after a longer test, this is not a vehicle that would work for me. It's just not, because it doesn't have Apple CarPlay. And I'm going to show you why, because this really is a great system. There are so many good things about it. There are so many good things about it. And I love everything about this car and the technology, except for the fact that it doesn't have Apple CarPlay. And if you live in an Apple environment like I do, that's a deal breaker. I have an Apple Watch. I have an Apple phone. I have an Apple computer. I have an Apple laptop, and they all talk to each other. So when I get into a car that has Apple CarPlay, you know what? It talks to the car. So this system works good. It's good, but I have there's like a wireless charger right here. I can't even count the number of times I picked up my phone to make a call, to send a text message, to adjust my podcast, to deal with my radio. And that's a problem. General Motors said that they put this system in to help with driver distraction. And I'm going to say that failed. That was not the reason, or if that was the reason, it was unsuccessful. Okay, so this is like a 3-minute introduction to probably a 3-minute video. And let's just get into it. This week's car du jour is 2025 Cadillac Optiq, and let's do an update on the technology. Okay, let's just dig right into this. And I want to start with some good things, because as I said, the technology and this operating system on this vehicle are, at its core, really, really good. I like this large screen. I like the graphics. I think they've done a good job with the icons. I think that, I have a really good driving position. The steering wheel doesn't block any of my vital information for my driving position. And I like all of that stuff. I like how quickly this operates. There is no lag. When you log into your Google account and attach this to your phone, all of these things are going to be attached to your account. So I've logged into my Waze, and this Google map here has logged into my Google Maps, because again, I have this attached to my account. As you can see, like Jill, I created my own profile on here with my information. And I will say, I really, really love their Google Maps system. This is a free trial. It's an 8-year free trial. And after 8 years, there's going to be a subscription fee, and they don't know what it is. But I don't know how many people keep their vehicles for 8 years. So maybe it's not something that you have to worry about. But just be aware, after 8 years, this isn't free anymore. But I put in my home destination, and you can see that this map fills out the screen really well. But what I like the most about this is this right here. In addition to telling you how long it's going to take, how many miles you're going to travel, it gives you the estimated time of arrival, and it shows you, this is the important part, it shows you the battery life, that you will have when you arrive. Hence, I'm currently in charging jail because I'm trying to get as many miles on here as possible so that I don't freak out. Now, I will say on my way down here, it said I would have 31% of my battery when I arrived, and I got here and it had 36% of my battery. So I'm going to say this is a conservative estimate telling me how many miles I'm going to need and what my percentage battery is going to be in order to get home. And I really like that. That is something that you don't want in an electric vehicle. You don't want to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to get back with 33% of my battery and I get back with 5. That's bad. And I will say that today it's hot outside. As you can see, it's 100 degrees. And so that is going to play into my battery life. It was not that hot when I came. So, I'm probably not going to get the 33% or 31%, 35% that I got the last time, even when I charge all the way up to 100%. And that's just the way it is because it's hot. But I want to say, in and of itself, Google built-in is great. I love it. It works really, really well. And the apps, when you log into them. So again, I logged into my Waze. It has my information in there, so my home information, my stored data of places that I go often. And I like the fact that it has the ability to show you cops along your route. I love using Waze. And and by the way, I'm just going to point out, I refuse to share my information with Google. That is not my home address. So I plug in, it's a grocery store. And so I plug in something, that is a known point for me. And, it's on my way home. It is not my home, but, because I'm sharing my information with Apple. So this kind of leads me into the problems that I have with this because of no Apple CarPlay. I share my information with Apple. Apple has my home address, but this is not going to navigate me to home. So and the same for this, I did not plug in my home address here. I plugged in the grocery store. So I have to be cognizant of the fact that, okay, it says 19%, but it's actually going to be a little bit less than that because I have to keep going after I get to the grocery store. Okay, so let's get into music and let's get into podcasts. Let's get into podcasts first. So you tap the little music icon and you go into your Bluetooth. You can go to your playlists, and this is going to show you all of the playlists that I've created in my Apple Music because Bluetooth. And then you can go into podcasts. And so it loads, the folders for my podcast, but it's not showing me the current podcast that I was playing before I started to record this video. So that is a little bit annoying, and I don't have any radio, and yeah, my music, I don't really have that. So I was concerned with playlists and podcasts. And so none of that is easy to access. Now, if I go into my phone, it will show me, the recent people that I have called, and it will, pull up my contact lists, and it will give me my favorites. That's all good, but I don't know. It doesn't necessarily show you their pictures like it would in Apple CarPlay, and it doesn't. I don't know. To me, this is just not easy to navigate. Now, the other thing that you're gonna notice when I hit my phone, it doesn't give me any way to get into my voicemail, and it doesn't give me any way to send text messages. So I did play around a little bit with the, Hey SIRI to get my phone to pick up via Bluetooth. Text Judy Ciminillo and Judy Ciminillo. And because Judy and Julie are so similar, it actually sent 2 text messages to Julie, and Judy didn't get a text message from me. So doing things voice to text isn't always reliable. Whereas with Apple CarPlay, I could say, text Judy and Julie Ciminillo, and then it would show on the screen, text Judy and Julie Ciminillo, and you'd be like, yes, that's exactly what I would like to do. But you don't get that here. The other thing that I did is when I was listening to my podcasts, I could say, Hey SIRI, play podcasts. And then it would bring up the podcast that was currently playing. And then that means I have to set up my playlists or my, oh, that's my music. It means I have to set up my now playing, or, my lineup of things that I want to listen to before I get into the car. Now, more often than not, I found myself, so right here is where ooh, that's cold. Like there's a cool pad there and actually air blowing. So that's something I want to talk about that I like. But more often than not, so this is your wireless charger. I found that I had to pull my phone out, and then I would be holding my phone while I'm driving, using Super Cruise, by the way, because, that's fair, that's fail safe. But I would be looking at my phone, and I would have to scroll through my contacts or my favorites or whatever to send a text message. And then, or if I didn't want to listen to a certain podcast, I'd be scrolling up and then swiping, and then I would put my phone back, and then something would happen, and then I would pick my phone up again. So for me, this system does not work, and I touch my phone a lot more than I would if I had Apple CarPlay. So for somebody who's an Android, for somebody who lives in a Google environment, you will probably love this. It will probably be great for you. This is not great for me. Okay, but on to more good stuff. So this wireless charger works really well. Now, I'm going to say it doesn't put a lot of charge on your phone, but it does hold the charge on your phone while you are driving. So for 3 hours, I had my phone in here, and let's see, as you can see, this is the pad, and there's like cool air coming from somewhere. I feel it right here, maybe. There's cool air. So it kept my phone cold. It never overheated. And that is something that General Motors tends to do really well. Now, I will say, in order to put my phone in exactly the right spot, again, while driving, I found myself having to lift this up and then, jiggle my phone around, and then I would shut this. So then every time, it's became this whole series. Every time I'd pick up my phone and I'd drop it back in, I'd notice it wasn't charging, I'd lift this up, and then I'd move it around, and then I'd put this back down, and then it would be charging. This is all while driving. Not undistracting. This is more distracted than if I had Apple CarPlay. Okay, now Super Cruise. I really like the Super Cruise system. You can see that it has a camera right here to watch your face to make sure you're paying attention. So I'd hold my phone here and not block my face. And it didn't give me any alerts. Sorry to give away the cheat there. But I mean, I was paying attention, but I was also looking at my phone. Not ideal. I don't look at my phone when I have Apple CarPlay. Then, this will be green when it is activated, and it turns red when it wants you to take control. You activate it by hitting this button right here on your steering wheel, and it will show up green behind here so that you know that it is active. It works really well. I used it essentially the entire way from Chicago to Indianapolis. There were a couple of times during construction that the car steered me towards a pylon, and I had to grab the wheel really quick. So again, you need to pay attention when you're using the systems. So picking up your phone is a bad idea. I do not condone that. And I don't know, but I like overall how well this system works. It doesn't bobble you between the lane lines. You can do a little, tap with your turn signal, and then it will change your lane for you, all while you're driving hands-free. I was showing off to my mom when we were on the highway, and she was like, ooh. So at any rate, amuse yourself, amuse your friends, amuse your family. This works really well. Adaptive cruise control works really well. The sound is really good. The wireless charger works really good. Google in and of itself, is amazing. It's amazing. I just really want Apple CarPlay. I know I'm beating a dead horse here, but I do want to say Google built-in is amazing. A lot of the technology on this car is amazing. But for what I do in a vehicle while I'm driving, especially 3 hours through a cornfield, texting, podcasting, listening to voicemail messages, I couldn't figure any of those 3 things out. And that's a deal breaker for me for the amount of time I spend in a car. If you don't care, not a deal breaker for you. But I just feel like everybody should go into the purchase process and understand the situation. I had so many people comment on my other video that they didn't realize that their Blazer EV, their Equinox EV, their Silverado EV didn't have Apple CarPlay. And they bought the vehicle not knowing. And then they're like, well, now I'm stuck. I would be very curious if you bought one of these vehicles not knowing it had Apple CarPlay, and if it no longer bothers you, if you got used to the system. And If you know how I can get my podcasts more easily, send text messages more easily, or listen to my voicemail messages through the system without picking up my phone, comment below. I'd love that information. But as it is right now, this is just not something that is usable for me and the kind of driving that I do. Google built-in, thumbs up. No Apple CarPlay, thumbs down. And I'll just leave it there. All right, thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time with a new car du jour and hopefully Apple CarPlay.